Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell because today we're going to talk about something that literally gives me chills. You all probably know by now that BTS is finally making their comeback with the album ARIRANG on March 20th, right? But what made me absolutely need to make this video is the statement from RM and Jimin that literally kept me up at night. They said this album will show a side of BTS that we have never seen before. And guys, after doing my deep research, I can tell you this is not just regular hype. There's something really deep happening here. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Do you remember when Jimin went live in early November last year? He said something super cryptic. He said that during their hiatus, they discovered something about themselves that had been buried all this time. And guys, his facial expression when he said that? Man, he was literally almost crying. This wasn't acting. This was genuine emotion. And if you notice carefully, RM, who's usually always composed and calm, even he looked a bit overwhelmed when Jimin started talking about this. Now, let me break this down for you. Over the years, we've seen various sides of BTS, right? We've seen them energetic on stage. We've seen them vulnerable in Bon Voyage. We've seen them fun and chaotic in Run BTS. But according to RM, and this is a direct quote, all of that are layers that are indeed real, but haven't shown the deepest core of who they really are. And ARIRANG is their attempt to finally strip away all those layers and show us the raw, unfiltered truth. And guys, this gives me goosebumps. Do you know that their creative process for this album is completely different from all their previous albums? Jimin literally revealed that they threw away all the rules. No strict deadlines, no genre limitations, no commercial expectations. They literally just created from the heart. And if you think about it, this is revolutionary for a group as big as BTS. Imagine the pressure from the label, from investors, from millions of fans expecting something. But they said, you know what? For this album, we're doing it our way. RM also dropped a bombshell statement. He said they deliberately chose not to follow current music trends. Guys, let that sink in. In an era where everyone's chasing viral TikTok sounds and trying to game the algorithm, BTS literally said we don't care about that. Instead, they went back to Korean folk music, to folk tales that have existed for centuries. And they're combining it with their modern experience as global artists. That takes guts. That takes real artistic integrity. Okay, now this is the part that literally made me cry. Jimin talked about a specific track that he and RM wrote together. This track was inspired by thousands of letters they received from ARMY during their military service. Guys, picture this. RM and Jimin sitting in the studio, reading letters from all of you sharing your struggles, your small victories, how BTS music helped you through dark times. And they literally wrote a song as a response. But not from the perspective of superstars on stage. They wrote it as a friend sitting next to you, sharing the same vulnerabilities. And guys, this is what makes this album so special. It's not about them anymore. It's about us. It's about the relationship between BTS and ARMY that evolved over the last 3 years. RM even confirmed that they listened to every BTS album from the beginning. From Too Cool for School to Proof. They noted recurring themes, signature sounds, messages they conveyed. And then they asked themselves, what haven't we said yet? What's still left in our hearts unexpressed? And that became the foundation for ARIRANG. Now let me tell you about something that's absolutely fascinating. Jimin revealed that they worked with gugak musicians. Guys, gugak is traditional Korean music. They learned instruments like gaegyeom and jimungo. They literally spent time with cultural heritage keepers to understand the philosophy behind traditional music. But here's the kicker. They didn't just take traditional elements and slap it onto pop music. They genuinely tried to understand the soul of that music and how that soul can speak in contemporary language. And Jimin said something profound. He said this process changed how they view their own identity. As Korean artists with global success, they always felt torn between two worlds. On one side, staying authentic to their Korean roots. On the other side, making music accessible to everyone. But with ARIRANG, they realize that's not a contradiction. The deeper they dig into their Korean identity, the more universal their message becomes. Because themes like longing, loss, hope, and love are languages everyone understands. Okay guys, now brace yourselves because what I'm about to tell you is mind-blowing. RM talked about the lyrics, and he guaranteed it will shock a lot of people. They're no longer writing from a safe place. They're talking about doubts, about moments when they almost gave up, about pressure that almost destroyed them, about complicated relationships both with themselves and with others. They're also discussing privilege and responsibility, guilt and gratitude all mixed up. These aren't lyrics written to inspire the masses anymore. These are words coming from a very personal, sometimes dark place. But here's the most shocking revelation. Jimin actually admitted they almost didn't release this album at all. Let me repeat that. They almost canceled ARIRANG. Why? Because when they listened to the recordings, they felt too vulnerable, too exposed. The music was too honest, too raw, too personal. There were long discussions among the members whether they're actually ready to let the world hear this side of them. And guys, imagine having that conversation. Imagine creating something so personal that you're scared to share it. Ultimately, the decision to still release it came from the realization that ARMY deserves this honesty, and that the most meaningful art is often the art that makes the creator feel most vulnerable. And guys, this is why I love BTS. This is why they're not just another pop group. This is real artistry. This is courage. Now here's something else that's been blowing my mind. According to multiple sources, RM spent countless hours researching Korean history and philosophy for this album. We're talking about him diving deep into ancient texts, studying the Joseon dynasty, understanding the context of traditional Korean folk songs. And this wasn't just surface-level research. He actually consulted with university professors and cultural historians. Can you imagine? A K-pop idol doing academic-level research for an album? That's the level of dedication we're talking about here. And Jimin, on his part, focused heavily on the emotional and vocal aspects. Sources say he experimented with traditional Korean vocal techniques, learning from Panzori singers. Panzori is this traditional Korean musical storytelling art form that's incredibly demanding vocally. And Jimin didn't just learn it for the technique. He learned it to understand how Korean emotions have been expressed through music for centuries. How pain, joy, longing, and hope have been vocalized in ways that are uniquely Korean. What's even more interesting is how they're blending this with modern production. We're hearing rumors about them working with some unexpected producers and musicians. Not the usual suspects you'd expect on a BTS album. We're talking about experimental artists, indie musicians, people who operate outside the mainstream K-pop production machine. This suggests they're really trying to create something that breaks the mold. And can we talk about the symbolism of the title, ARIRANG itself? For those who don't know, ARIRANG is often called the unofficial anthem of Korea. It's a song that's been sung for hundreds of years, with countless regional variations. It's a song about separation, about crossing mountain passes, about the pain of parting, and the hope of reunion. And when you think about BTS and ARMY being separated for almost 4 years, when you think about the members being separated from each other during military service, when you think about them being separated from the version of themselves they were before all this, the symbolism becomes incredibly powerful. RM mentioned in one interview that ARIRANG represents not just a song, but a cultural memory. It's something that connects all Koreans across time and space. And what BTS is trying to do is extend that connection globally. They're saying this Korean experience of longing, of separation, of hoping to reunite, this is actually a universal human experience. And they're using this traditional Korean framework to express emotions that everyone, everywhere can relate to. There's also been talk about the visual concept for this album. And guys, from the teasers we've seen so far, it looks absolutely stunning. We're seeing this beautiful blend of traditional Korean aesthetics with modern cinematography. The color palette seems to be very different from anything they've done before. It's more muted, more earthy, more organic. Less of the bright, flashy colors we associate with K-pop, and more of these deep, rich tones that feel timeless. Jimin posted some behind-the-scenes photos from what looked like a traditional Korean hanok, and the way they're incorporating these traditional settings suggests they're really serious about grounding this album in Korean culture. But knowing BTS, they're not going to do it in a cliché or superficial way. They're going to find a way to make it feel contemporary and relevant. Now let me talk about something that I think is going to be absolutely game-changing. There are whispers in the industry that ARIRANG might feature some unconventional song structures. We're not talking about your typical verse-chorus bridge formula that dominates pop music. RM has hinted that they've been experimenting with storytelling formats, with songs that evolve and transform as they progress, almost like musical journeys rather than traditional pop songs. This makes sense when you consider the ARIRANG folk tradition. Traditional Korean folk songs don't follow Western pop structures. They flow organically, they breathe, they tell stories in nonlinear ways. And if BTS is genuinely trying to honor that tradition while making it contemporary, we might be hearing song structures that challenge our expectations of what a pop song should sound like. And here's where it gets really interesting for international audiences. There's been speculation that the album will feature more Korean language lyrics than any previous BTS album. Now, this is significant. At a time when many K-pop groups are releasing more English content to appeal to Western markets, BTS seems to be moving in the opposite direction. They're saying, we're Korean, our stories are rooted in Korean culture and language, and we trust that you'll connect with it regardless of language barriers. This is such a powerful statement. It's BTS at their most confident. They've proven they can top Western charts. They've proven they can sell out stadiums worldwide. They don't need to prove anything anymore. So now they can make the music they truly want to make, in the language that feels most authentic to them, trusting that the emotional truth will transcend language. Jimin also mentioned something fascinating about the recording process. He said there were sessions where they would record late into the night, sometimes until sunrise, because that's when the emotions felt most raw and honest. They weren't watching the clock, they weren't worried about overtime fees or scheduling conflicts. They just stayed in the studio until they captured exactly what they were feeling. That's the kind of artistic freedom that creates legendary albums. And the collaboration between RM and Jimin specifically seems to have been incredibly important for this album. These two have always had a special creative chemistry. RM brings the intellectual depth, the philosophical framework, the lyrical sophistication. Jimin brings the emotional vulnerability, the raw feeling, the ability to make you feel something deep in your chest. Together, they're creating something that's both intellectually compelling and emotionally devastating. There's also been hints about the album exploring themes of masculinity and vulnerability in ways that Korean society traditionally hasn't embraced. RM has spoken before about the pressure on Korean men to be stoic, to not show emotion, to always be strong. And here's BTS, 7 men who've achieved incredible success, saying actually, we're scared sometimes, we're vulnerable, we cry, we struggle. That's revolutionary in the Korean cultural context, and it's going to resonate globally with anyone who's felt the pressure to hide their true feelings. What really excites me is the potential impact this could have on younger generations. Think about all the young people, especially young men, who've grown up with BTS. They've watched these 7 guys evolve from scrappy underdogs to global superstars, and through it all, BTS has consistently messaged that it's okay to be yourself, it's okay to feel things deeply, it's okay to talk about mental health and struggles. ARIRANG seems to be taking that message even deeper, showing that true strength comes from acknowledging your weaknesses, that real courage is being vulnerable. There's also speculation about potential collaborations on this album, though nothing has been confirmed. But imagine if they brought in some traditional Korean musicians to perform alongside them. Not just as background or decoration, but as equal collaborators. That would be such a beautiful bridge between generations, between traditional and contemporary Korean culture. It would show respect for the past while boldly creating the future. And let's talk about the timing of this release. March 20th, right as spring begins in Korea. Spring has always been symbolic of rebirth, renewal, new beginnings. The imagery of flowers blooming after a long winter, of life returning after dormancy. The metaphor is almost too perfect. BTS returning after their winter of military service, blooming into this new artistic phase, bringing new life to the music industry. I guarantee you they chose this date very deliberately. RM closed by saying ARIRANG isn't just a comeback album. It's a statement about who BTS is now after having time to grow as individuals. It's proof that the hiatus didn't weaken them but made them stronger and clearer about their artistic vision. And most importantly, it's a bridge not just between BTS's past and future, but between BTS as artists and ARMY as humans who are all experiencing life with all its complexities. Now guys, let me give you my honest thoughts. I've been following BTS since their debut. I've analyzed every comeback, every concept, every era. And I can tell you with confidence, this feels different. This feels like they're entering a completely new chapter. Remember when they did the Love Yourself series? That was profound. Remember Map of a Soul? That was deep. But ARIRANG, this sounds like it's going to be on another level entirely. Think about it. They had almost 4 years to reflect, to grow, to figure out who they are outside of the BTS machine. Military service is no joke. It strips you down to basics. It makes you confront yourself without all the glamour and fame. And now they're coming back with all that wisdom, all that growth, all that self-discovery. How can that not result in something extraordinary? And here's what I think is really happening. I think BTS is done playing the idol game. They've conquered that. They've reached heights that no Korean act has ever reached. Now they want to be recognized as serious artists. Not just as performers, not just as entertainers, but as artists who have something meaningful to say about the human condition. And ARIRANG is their way of saying, this is who we really are. Take it or leave it. The fact that they're willing to risk commercial success for artistic integrity, that's huge. The fact that they're choosing traditional Korean elements over trendy sounds, that's a statement. The fact that they're being this vulnerable, that's brave. And I think the world is ready for this. I think after all the manufactured pop, after all the algorithm-chasing music, people are hungry for something real. Something honest. Something that speaks to the soul. Now I want to talk about what this means for the future of K-pop. If BTS succeeds with this approach, and I believe they will, it's going to change the game. It's going to show other artists that you don't have to follow trends. You don't have to sacrifice your artistic vision for commercial success. You can be authentic, you can be vulnerable, you can be Korean, and still resonate with global audiences. In fact, that might be exactly what global audiences want. Guys, March 20th can't come soon enough. I'm literally counting down the days. And I know when that album drops, we're going to dissect every lyric, every melody, every production choice. We're going to cry, we're going to feel seen, we're going to understand BTS on a level we never have before. And that's what great art does. It creates connection. It builds bridges between souls. So here's what I want you guys to do. In the comments below, tell me what you're most excited about for ARIRANG. What side of BTS do you think we haven't seen yet? What do you hope they'll talk about? Let's have a conversation because that's what this comeback is all about. It's about connection, about understanding, about shared humanity. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your fellow ARMY. Let's spread the word about how special this comeback is going to be. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'll be doing track-by-track analysis when the album drops. And guys, thank you for being on this journey with me. BTS and ARMY, we're in this together. Always have been, always will be. Alright guys, that's it for today. Stay purple, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video. Borahi.